Now, before we get into the meaty part of this review, I would like to remind you all that I am a Dragon Ball mega fan. I mean, I don't have all the toys or everything or all the statues or whatever. And I don't own everything on a DVD box set. I'm sorry about that. But I have always been with Dragon Ball, and it's a part of me. There's no way it's not. Now, with that in mind, let's get on with this long-awaited. Well, I don't even want to say awaited, but this long time. No, it's not even long. It's just a couple of months. Okay, this review of Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. Let's go, shall we? So now, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot is about the story of Dragon Ball Z. It couldn't be more simplified than that. So, who is this for, exactly? Well, it's for mega fans like me, clearly, and maybe roping in some newcomers to Dragon Ball who have never played the games before, who have never seen the show, have never heard about the characters in any way, shape, or form. Now, is this a good way to get into these characters? Kind of, but not really. I mean, the only way to get to know these characters is to watch the show or read the books. So, I've never read the books personally because I don't have time for that, but with the quarantine going on, I'm going to have a lot of time on my hands, so I might as well pick that up. But even if you are a fan of this show, it might not be something for you if you're not a fan of RPGs. Because the root of it, that is what this game is. It is a Dragon Ball Z RPG. Now, is it a very, 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 intense RPG? No, not at all. Again, what Kakarot is trying to do, it very much succeeds at. It's trying just to tell you the story of Dragon Ball Z, and it does that without any real big troubles or anything like that. So Dragon Ball Z Kakarot goes from the Saiyan saga all the way to the Majin Buu saga. Before the DLC is added. I'm recording this right now before the DLC, so when that comes out, I'm not going to update this specific video. I will make its own review on the DLCs when they come out, when they're fully out, and it's like the end of, the DLC or whatever. But it looks like the DLC will be going to Battle of Gods, and assumingly the Resurrection F arc, and possibly the Universe 6 vs. 7. It is yet to be seen with Universe 6 vs. 7. But we can only assume that it will be the Resurrection of F arc after, because they were giving us the preview of Goku going Super Saiyan God, fighting Beerus. So we can only assume that, we can safely assume actually, that it will be going on to the Resurrection F arc with this first DLC pack that's coming out. Now on to the part 2, step 2, I don't know what to call this. I've never really done a review like this before. Because it is a Dragon Ball Z game, let's take a moment to talk about the combat. Now the combat isn't as intensive as Arc System's Dragon Ball Fighters. There's no need for it to be that complicated. Because, again, this is a story talking about Dragon Ball Z. It's not really focused on anything else but telling you the story, and it does that absolutely beautifully. Now, the combat isn't that really involved with what you do with your mind. I mean, once you get a certain combo going, that's the combo you're going to be going with the entire game, probably. Like a knockaway into your Kamehameha, Gallic Gun, Masenko, whatever it may be, Special Beam Cannon, Burning Attack, however it will be. You're going to either finish up your combo, or in the middle of the combo, you can press X or square on a PlayStation controller, Y on the Xbox controller, or triangle on the PlayStation controller. And that will do something a little bit different. the X button will actually finish off your combo in a different way by getting a little bit of extra damage. So if you time it right, instead of doing your full combo, if you do one hit before, it'll do a little bit of that extra damage that you need. Now if you hit the Y button before your combo ends, it will actually recharge some of your ki. I'm not too certain on the actual number of it. I think it could be 100 ki, but it's give or take around that area. What else is there to do with this combat? Well, the skill tree that you can see here, if I put that up, you can see that there are combo extenders. So it basically just boosts your combo by a couple of hits, and once you're at the end of the game, you'll be doing a full combo like there's no tomorrow, and then into a Super Masenko or Limit Breaker Kamehameha, whatever you want. Now, what are the RPG elements to this game? Well, as you can see right here on the skill tree that I have before me, it's very, very basic RPG elements. Leveling up is very easy, you know, do side quests, beat up the people, eat food to increase your damage you can do, or decrease the damage you take from eating certain specific foods. Now, this is very easy to do. All you have to do is go out, catch a few fish, maybe kill a few deer or wolves, and you can make yourself a home-cooked meal with Chi-Chi or any of the other fine women out there in this world of Dragon Ball Z. Now, leveling up, I found it not to be difficult at all. If you really wanted to grind your way all the way up there, you absolutely could. Now, the way I did this was actually going to Bulma's house and just continue doing her training there. That will give you some fine XP, and also once you get high enough into leveling up the training bosses, I wouldn't exactly call them bosses, but the training rooms that you create will come up with these items called Mega Masses. And a Mega Mass basically increases your XP that you get from every fight you do for a certain amount of time. And that's how I did it. Basically, you keep on gaining Mega Masses from those, and so you can do it in that training room itself, so you can just keep on gaining Mega Masses, or you can go out into the world and fight harder enemies. Now, of course, once you get a little bit further into the story, the enemies become a little more of a hassle to deal with, obviously. But I will say that this is very, very challenging in the main game if you don't have 3 people with you. If you're going up against any enemy that is, say, at least 5 levels higher than you, it is very difficult to do if you only have your main character there. Without any side characters to help you, like Vegeta, Goku, Gohan, Piccolo, Trunks, Goten, Trunks, Android 18, Krillin, Yamcha, or Tien there to help you at all, the harder enemies, they can be very challenging. Now, what exactly are harder enemies? The harder enemies are enemies created by, believe it or not, Toa and Mira. Yeah, they're in this game, which is, I don't know, I'm kind of ticked off about that one still, so, I mean, we'll let it go for now. We'll drop it for now, but, I'm not gonna forget about you guys. But, anyway, harder enemies are created by Toa and Mira that are usually in a range from 10 to 20 levels higher than you in a given area, depending on where you are in the story. If I do remember correctly, the harder enemies first come around after the events of the Saiyan Saga. So, at that point, you're probably not going to be fighting the harder enemies. You're going to want to wait to get back from Namek to do those enemies. And speaking of Namek, let's just go ahead and jump in and let's just talk about for a hot second how beautiful these cutscenes can look. Now, because they are sadly like spread very like far between, which is a very, very sad thing, because when the game does give you these cutscenes, they feel very, very, very deserved. But the thing is, they really just don't give them to you that often. I mean, they could. I wish the game was entirely animated like this, but it's not. And that's gonna like bring it down a few points in the end, because it shows that they can do great things with this. I mean, look at all of these cutscenes. The lighting on them is absolutely superb. When the game wants to look good, it will look good. It'll absolutely look... It's the best looking Dragon Ball game of all time. It's probably one of the best looking anime games of all time, because of these cutscenes here. But they don't give you too many of them, which is very, very sad, because they look so fucking cool. It just, I don't know, it gets me very, very happy that they're taking these small steps forward. Which makes me believe that, I don't know, maybe Xenoverse 3, Fighters 2 will, or whatever may come next in Dragon Ball, they're going to look amazing all throughout. Hopefully that's what I'm putting out there for. I hope the universe hears that. Now, in this next step of this review, I just want to personally talk about the fun that I had with the game. Personally, it is up there with my favorite Dragon Ball games of all time. Proving that in 2020, you don't need multiplayer to have a good game. It has been so long since I've had a purely story-driven game. Infinitely long. I think the last one that I played was probably something on the PS2. I wouldn't doubt it. Like, I didn't play many, like, story-driven games. I mean, of course you have Elder Scrolls or something like that, which I ever so love. But when I was younger, I didn't, like, play that stuff. It was just, you know, me running around killing civilians or some shit like that. But it was just, you know, pure silliness and silly fun. I guess it would have to be closer to Assassin's Creed that I actually played. That was a story-driven game. But now that we have a Dragon Ball game that's like this, hopefully there will be more anime games that do this, and more Dragon Ball games that do this thing. Because I love story-driven games. We haven't had enough of them in current times. And it absolutely blows this part out of the water. I mean, it's kind of the Dragon Ball game I have always wanted. You know? It's one of those things that I wanted since Budokai 1. A story with animated cutscenes. I mean, good animated cutscenes. I mean, Dragon Ball games kind of get fuzzy for me around the Xbox 360, PS3 era. I played Ultimate Tenkaichi, and I played Burst Limit and Raging Blast, but I didn't play the stories in the Raging Blast games, which probably was a mistake, so I can, safely criticize this. But, I mean, I played Ultimate Tenkaichi, and the thing is, that was the first game that incorporated making your own CAC. So I only did that story anyway. I didn't go on with doing the normal story because I thought it would be stupid. Like, why do that when I have a new story I've never seen before right here? So for me, I've been waiting for a proper story like this since Budokai 1. With fully animated cutscenes that look absolutely stunning. But now, let's take a step back and let's take off the nostalgia glasses for a minute. Let's say I am a new person coming into this game, coming into this franchise for the first time. What am I going to think of it? Well, it's not the best RPG. And obviously it's not the best, fighting game. Because it is leaning more to the RPG elements. Upgrading your attacks, upgrading how much ki and health you have. But you only do that by, I believe, leveling up the very specific their skill tree. I can't remember what it's called, but in the skill tree they give you like sturdiness options, like to increase the amount of damage you can take, but you don't actually like increase your health other than leveling up your normal level. And it's not the best RPG when there are other games out there like The Witcher and Mass Effect and The Elder Scrolls and Fallout. There are a lot of things it could do much better. But hopefully, this might be me putting the nostalgia glasses back on, but hopefully people see this game for what it really is. It's trying to tell the story more than anything. And that's what it does. It does do that. So, hopefully this is me still looking at it with an outside perspective, and it's not just me being a mega fan. I really hope so. If you believe I am being a mega fan here and just saying that the gameplay isn't the best that it could be, but it's doing the job that it's set out to do, which was tell the story. If you believe that's just me being a mega fan and saying the game isn't bad and it's top tier, one of the best games of all time, one of the best Dragon Ball games of all time, sorry about that, just tell me in the comments below and maybe we can talk it out there. Because in reality, yes, I do love this game, but I can also tell that it has problems. But at the same time, it does what it set out to do, and that is tell the story of Dragon Ball Z. And you cannot deny that it did that very well. Very, very well. I can't wait to see for what they come with in the DLC. Speaking of that, while we're on story topics, side quests, which have never been in really like any other Dragon Ball game. I guess you could come up with the option that in Xenoverse, parallel quests are the side quests. But I mean, are they kind of really? You need to do them to get attacks and to level up your CAC. Meanwhile, here in Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, they're not really a necessity unless you want to make your community boards better. You see, the community boards are basically other skill trees, kind of. I don't know how to put it. Like, you have your Z community board, your cooking, training, your God level community board, your adult community board, and your treasure hunting community board or whatever it's called. I never use that one because it's never, the big three that you're going to be using is cooking, Z-level community board, and your training community board. Now, what do these community boards do? Well, the higher level you get your boards, the better perks that it gives you. Like for training, if you max out the training community board, it'll increase the XP that you get by 100%. Yeah, that's very good. That is very good. And cooking, once you get that to max level, all the meals that you cook will go perfectly, which means you make 2 when only using the amount to make 1 of a dish that you make. So, I mean, they're kind of useless, but there are some that I use, and I'm very certain, like, if you pay attention to the other ones, they can be very useful. Like for the adult community board, like, the higher level you get that, the less you'll have to pay at stores, and the more you'll get from selling to those stores, which is very, very good. Now, what would a newcomer to the entire franchise see this as? If I'm being quite honest, I wouldn't be too impressed. I mean, with certain things in this game, like the frame rate issue, when it's bad, it is bad. Like just entering a fight. It might just be me because I got the game digitally and I didn't get the disc copy. So if the disc copy is better than what you're seeing right now, please tell me. Because this has to be the worst part of the game. It takes your immersion right out and it throws it out the window into a burning fire. And then it like puts another fire on top of that fire. You know? It's just... It's the worst part of the game, sadly. Because while you're flying around just fighting enemies, when you get into battles, it just drops to 0 frames per second. And it's just... I don't know, it couldn't be any worse. I'm not sure what they did wrong with that. I'm not sure how to fix this. If it's just a problem with me, please let me know. Because if this is happening for everyone, this is just unacceptable. In 2020, absolutely not. This is the worst part of the game. You're flying around, you're immersed in the world because of the music that's playing, and you're just having a grand old time, and you get into a fight with an enemy just out there in the open world, and the frame rate goes to fucking 0. It's absolutely unacceptable. And at the same time, when you throw 2 or 3 giant attacks at an enemy, again, the frame rate just drops. Please tell me if this is an issue with me just buying the game digitally and having it online only. Just tell me, please. I need to know if this is happening with anybody else. Because, to my knowledge, it is happening with everyone else. And it's unacceptable. I'm at a loss for words. And so now that we talked about being a newcomer and seeing what the game has to offer, gameplay-wise, it's good for children as a newcomer and you've never heard of Dragon Ball before, and that's what it's aiming for, teenagers and children. It's Dragon Ball. It's a show. It's a animated show. How could it not be for children and aimed towards teens and older fans like myself? And the feelings that I get as a fan, a hardcore fan at that, I am absolutely in love with this game. Again, the frame rate issue is my only issue with this game. I loved doing every other part. I loved doing every side quest. I have almost all the side quests done. I love the wishes with the Dragon Balls. It makes sense. I wish there were a few more wishes with the Dragon Balls, because you can only bring back key enemies, but only for a certain amount of time, which in canon, it does make sense, because the Dragon Balls can only revive someone who have been dead for less than a year. After a year, it doesn't work. So, in making the Dragon Balls work that way, it makes sense when you think about it. Like, you can only wish Raditz back if you haven't gone to the Cell Saga or something like that. I don't know. I wished them back immediately. Because I heard that that was the thing that happens in the game. So I just wished them all back as fast as I possibly could, and I had no issue with it. But when you think about it, canonically, it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. But once you're done reviving all the enemies that you can, you're only stuck with 3 wishes left. That's more Z-orbs, more money, and rare items. The only ones useful I can see out of this are the rare items. Once you're past Namek, you're never going to run out of any Z-orbs. And what you use with the Z-orbs, that's what you use to increase your skill tree. I've done all of this with, the 3 main characters that you will be playing as throughout the entirety of the game: Goku, Gohan, and Vegeta. Now, obviously, the game wants you to play as these 3 and none of the others. Because basically, even during the Cell Saga, you don't really play as anyone else. You play as Trunks for a little bit, and you play as Piccolo for a little bit. Those are the only other characters that you can play as: Goku, Gohan, Vegeta, Trunks, and Piccolo. The rest are side characters. The ones that I mentioned before: Yamcha, Tien, Krillin, Chaozu, Goten, Kid Trunks, and Android 18. Which, now that as this review, I'm only starting to look at those characters, and honestly, they're not that bad. Yes, the game wants you to take control of your 3 main heroes and always have them in your party at all times. But when you look at these smaller side support characters, you'll see that their skills are way better for support. So, if you get an equivalent to a Kid Trunks on the scale of your level 100 Vegeta, we'll say, that Kid Trunks will be doing more support damage than Vegeta ever will. Yes, sure, Vegeta on his own, his base, will be stronger than that Kid Trunks, but when you look at the support skills themselves, Trunks can throw out many more support skills way faster than Vegeta ever could. And your skills that you have with them, like your Ultimate Z combo, by pressing in the 2 L1 and R1 buttons at the same time, the support characters will do more damage. I believe the main characters that you play as only go up to 25% more or 30 more. It's one of the two. But when you look at support characters, strictly support characters like Trunks, Kid Trunks, Goten, 18, Krillin, Yamcha, they go all the way up to 40% more in that. And also, they have unique skills. They have skills like Krillin's very special skill, Solar Flare. I'm assuming Tien would also have that, but I've only played with Krillin. And when Krillin uses it, it blinds all of your foes that you're fighting. And it makes for a very, very useful skill, especially when you're fighting those higher-end opponents. Now, speaking of the higher-end opponents, again, let's get back into, any grinding, because it is very much an RPG. Now, I didn't find myself doing too much grinding at all, which was very surprising. When I very first started the game, and you can see my first 2 episodes as my first reactions to the game, the episodes that I did on Kakarot, those are my first reaction episodes, because I wanted to play through the game, and I didn't want to record it. I wanted to take my time with it, because I knew if I recorded it, I never would have had as much fun, or I never would have experienced as much as I did in the game, unlike some other people here on YouTube. Mainly, I won't name you, but I'm definitely going to flash your name somewhere on the screen that is very small and very fast, so that's definitely going to happen. I wanted to take my time with this game because I wanted to do justice for this game. Like, I haven't seen any good news come out about this game so far. And being a mega fan like myself, I'm looking at it in a different eye than a proper reviewer. But as well, I'm trying my best to see what it's like with an outside point of view. And I did that in an earlier topic or subject here in this review. So back, sorry about that tangent there. So back to the grind. Is there any like necessary grinding you have to do for the story? For the most part, no, not at all. And the one time I tried grinding, which was at the very beginning of the game, I was Piccolo. You saw I got him up to like level 4 or 5 or 6 or something like that. Something of that nature. And when I fought Raditz with Piccolo, I absolutely stomped his ass. And then the next time I tried grinding was right after the Cell Saga. I continued to play as Gohan because I knew he would be very important. I actually, I take that back. It was a little bit before the Cell Saga, and then again after the Cell Saga, the little intermission that you get. And in that intermission, I only leveled him up like at most 3 times. And by the time the end of the game came around, Gohan was 10 levels ahead of Goku and Vegeta. How does that make any sense? Like Goku and Vegeta are over here. They're like level 73 or 74 or whatever. And Gohan is level 83 or 84. I'm like, how does that... What? I mean... So the game... for some reason, an RPG... It doesn't want you to grind. I mean, you can if you want. You absolutely can. But once you do so, there's no challenge in the game. And that's where this game falls flat on its face. The challenge. Much like the frame rate issue that I've had, this is another issue that I have with the game. Early on in the game, when you don't grind, then it'll be fun. But if you do grind, even just a little bit, the later parts of the story are going to be easy. I truly feel that the early game is very, very, I wouldn't want to say very, very hard, but is way harder than endgame. Once you get to the end, late to end game, everything becomes too easy because your levels are that high. I mean, the way I played anyway. My Gohan, once he unlocked his potential, was like 10 levels ahead of Super Buu. That fight was a walk in the park. It couldn't be any easier. And I'm like, well, yeah, I definitely understand that because Gohan was crushing his shit in the show. I understand that. But you're telling me that I can't grind because then I won't have a challenge? At least give us a way for some new game plus. Instead of using the time machine at the end of the game. And so once you go in the time machine, you'd think it'd be kind of like a new game plus, but it's not. I went back to see if it was just to fight Raditz again, and he's still, level 3 or 4, or whatever he was at that time. And it's kind of disappointing that there is no new game plus whatsoever. That means the story will never have any significance again. And speaking of the story, once the DLC comes out, I'm worried that I'm going to be too overleveled. Because Buu was maybe 80 at the end of the game, Kid Buu. Which leads me to believe, how strong is Beerus going to be, and how strong is Frieza going to be? And am I too strong now? And to all of those people who max their characters out at, 250? How are they going to have fun with the game? Are they going to be given an option to bring them all the way up to their max level, their new enemies? Or will they be given the option to make themselves decrease their levels, instead of punching Beerus in one hit and completely destroying him? How are they going to level that out? That is a serious concern that I have, because I don't want the game to be that easy, you know? Unless they increase the level cap, because they will imagine that some people are crazy enough to grind all the way up to max. Will they take that in mind and just take Beerus and Golden Frieza and Hit or whoever they have lined up and make them max level 250? Just like your character? I have no idea. But I would like to see this played out in a way that will make it fun for all of us. Again. And now, kind of an overall rating for the game as a mega fan. Because of... there's only one bug that I experienced. I was going to say bugs, and I thought that would be the wrong word, but there was one bug where I experienced after I beat the entire game. I went to the Bleak Bog area, and I tried to fight the stronger variations of the Vegeta, Nappa, and Raditz. And once I got back there, I couldn't fight them. I don't know what I did wrong. And so that is the one bug I've had throughout the entirety of the game. But there are the issues of the frame rate. There is that issue, and that's going to have to... In 2020, it is absolutely unacceptable for a game to do this. So with that in mind, I might have to bring it all the way down to a 7 out of 10. The mega fan in me wants to give it a 9 out of 10, but thinking with a neutral thought, it'll have to be a 7 out of 10. As a newcomer, it's still roughly a 7 out of 10. But if you're a newcomer and you experience the frame rate issues, I would probably drop it down to a 6. But as a mega fan, I can't dream but to have it at a 9. But as a mega fan, okay, 9 out of 10. Basically perfect game. Say it right there. But as this review plays out, as a reviewer with a neutral mind, 7 out of 10. Because there are those issues that I had with the game, in the frame rate that comes up when you're launching 2 or 3 giant attacks, like the Big Bang attack and a Super Spirit Bomb, for example. It just destroys the frame rate. I have no idea if it's my problem or if it is the actual game's problem itself. Hopefully it's not the actual game's problem, and that's why I'm leaving it at a 7 out of 10, with a question mark there. Because I don't know if anyone else is experiencing the frame rate issues like I am, but if it's any different on PS4, let me know, because I was playing on Xbox One. Clearly, I'm an Xbox fan, and everyone sees that. I have never played a PlayStation 4 in my entire life. So please just let me know if PlayStation is having this issue. I'm assuming PC, if you have a good PC, it'll be running smoother than all hell, and you're not going to have the frame rate issue. That's just me. So with that all out of the way, I cannot wait to see what they have in store with the DLC, and if they will fix the frame rate issue. Please guys, if you can, fix this immediately. I guess another small thing that I have to say are load times. I find myself checking my phone when I load into a new area, and I'm there for maybe like half a minute. Again, in 2020, it shouldn't be this way. So I'm hoping that's just me buying the game digitally and not actually having the copy. That's making the load times increased at all, and with the frame rate issue. But again, thank you for watching this review, listening to me hear what I have to say about it, and like always, smack a like, ring the bell, subscribe, do whatever the hell you want. I just thank you for watching and just hearing my opinion. I'm trying to burp. I can't do it. There's nothing left in the tank. But no matter what happens, have a good day. Wash your hands. Stay safe. And if you're hearing this, don't go to Dunkin' Donuts with like 90 other cars. That's not social distancing. Practice safe sex. Practice safe social distance. Practice safe social distancing. And stay home. Thank you.